Hey y'all, welcome to Mystic Moments. This is Mystic. We're going to take a trip today to San Diego, California. It was an 8-hour road trip from Amado to San Diego. We left Amado and went north on I-19 to Tucson and then over west towards Phoenix on I-10. Just past Picacho Peak, we turned on I-8 to head towards Yuma along the Mexican border and crossed into California at the Colorado River. Just past that is the California Agriculture Station, where the state of California has instituted among popular entrance routes these agriculture inspection points. The idea is for state inspectors to check vehicles with the hopes of stopping spread of invasive species that could disseminate local crops. And as they feed a large part of the nation, that seems like a great idea. The next thing that just jumped out at me were the sand dunes. They looked like tons of fun. We didn't actually stop and do anything there because we were trying to get to the ocean before sunset, and we did. But it is definitely something I'll go back to. I am very intrigued with the shifting roads and shifting sand signs I saw. We finally made it to San Diego. Ocean Beach was the first stop on our trip, but as we made our way to the beach, these homes that are built up the sides of these mountains with all the tiered gardens and everything, I should have known the flowers and the gardens were going to be beautiful just by looking at the first few homes we saw. But it really struck me how much pride and how beautiful their landscaping is, even in the rugged and I'm sure challenging terrain. Oh, the flowers. They were so pretty. Even the weeds were pretty. It just made riding up and down the roads a sight for the eyes. It was beautiful. Sunshine, sweet flowers, a cool breeze. It was really hard to beat. The windows were rolled down quite a bit. We finally made it towards the beach, and I look up, and just like in the movies, the streets are lined with palm trees. Your classic, iconic California street scene. Where we stayed was at Ocean Beach Inn. Just down the Newport Avenue from that was some really interesting places like Hodad's restaurant and bar. They have the sticker covered Volkswagen out front. And the Same Sun Hostel is a tie-dyed building with all kinds of art, interesting, colorful people milling around. It was a really beautiful place. We finally made it to Ocean Beach Brewing Company to have a rooftop supper. Sunset supper is what I called it. They had fire pits on the tabletop fire pits to help keep you warm. The breeze was kind of cool. The sunset was absolutely magnificent. And you see this scene, a lot of the restaurants in that area have rooftop dining, and I can see why with sunsets like that every day, I would not have supper anywhere else, actually. But it was just amazing. The food, well, I mean, it was not Southern food by any means, but it was all right. The next morning, we did make it to the beach, and it was cold, y'all. It was very cold. I did not expect the water to be that cold. There was helicopters, and it made us realize just what the military presence in California is, especially being the southernmost tip of California. San Diego has maybe a little bit more of a concentration than most areas, but they were out doing their due diligence, flying up and down that coastline. It kind of gave you a warm and fuzzy feeling. So we made our way away from the beach to Balboa Park. The first thing we found at Balboa Park was the Naval Medical Center and Gardens, and really the symmetry and the architecture were just amazing. The flowers, again, were in full bloom, arbors just dripping with blooms. They were beautiful and all kinds of nice shaded areas to sit, be a great place to meditate or just go get some peace and quiet when you need it. The medical center also has a beautiful fountain in the back. It doesn't seem like the building, especially the older part, is used much in the everyday operations anymore. But maybe administrative offices, they are used, but I can't speak intelligently to any of that. I can just tell you the grounds are beautiful. The front Has a tiered landscape. It looks like it's been used as a natural stage for ceremonies and things, and I'm sure that's gorgeous as well. Then we decided to look for the rest of the things we were looking for in Balboa Park and realized we had parked on the wrong side of the road. So we pulled up good old Google and figured out where to park. We ended up parking across Park Boulevard from where we were to at the Fleet Science Center in their parking, and then it was a short ride into the rest of the park to find the things we were looking for. I would recommend, if you go, look and see what parts of the park you want to go to, and then figure out where to park your vehicle, because it is a big place, and it would be easier to figure out how to negotiate things unless you just want to find somewhere to park and then figure it out, kind of like we did. The walk from parking to the main part of the park where we wanted to go, we were actually looking for the Friendship Garden, but there's beautiful water features and restaurants along the sidewalk. It's an easy walk, not a lot of steps or stairs. We made it to the main part of the garden and we found the Spreckles organ. This is home to the world's largest outdoor organ. The venue hosts year-round concerts and other events. It was not in use when we went that morning, but you can check the internet and see it lit up in pictures and things. It's used regularly. The seating is sturdy. There's plenty of room. There's a bunch of shade trees around, um, and it's just a beautiful piece of architecture and an instrument. I would love to hear it played soon. Um, about 10 o'clock that morning, the Friendship Garden, the Japanese Friendship Garden, finally opened. It is tucked away behind the tea and coffee shop, so if you're not looking for it specifically, you'll miss it. Once we got in, it was $15 a head, and it was well worth it. There's a little museum at the first part that gives you a little recap of Japanese history and influence locally and then nationally. And further down the sidewalk, there's this amazing pink trumpet tree. It was in full bloom when we were there, and it was just gorgeous. There's also a bonsai garden that was so tranquil and just very, very soothing to the soul. So we made our way down into the Friendship Garden. It's a tiered garden. The paved sidewalks are easy to navigate, but it is a steep descent and a steep climb back up. There's a water feature that starts at the top and goes all the way to the bottom. There are waterfalls all through it. There's koi ponds at different levels. And then you can bridges cross the water at several points, and you can look back up and see the progression of the garden, and it's just gorgeous. There's a dojo at the bottom. We did cross or pass by a group of yoga members who were doing their morning yoga before the garden actually opened that morning. I'm sure that is fabulous. There's a pond around the dojo where you can look at the koi fish closer if you'd like. And then the walk back up is just as pretty as the walk down. After the Friendship Garden, we made our way to the Botanical Building. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go in. It is currently under construction, but the ducks welcomed us at the lily pond that's in front of it. And we visited with them for a minute, and then we got to visit with some furry friends and their humans who were taking their spring pictures in these lovely flowers that surround the lily pond. It was a great photo op, lots of interesting and pleasant people. We made our way out of Balboa Garden, and the architecture and the vibe just continues through the city. Lots of beautiful tile work around fountains, flowers everywhere. Our next stop through this, after we left the Balboa Park, I wanted to go see the Kissing Statue. The Kissing Statue is in Tuna Harbor Park. That's just beside the USS Midway that's parked at the Seaport Village and Waterfront Park on North Harbor Drive. The statue is, by legend or word of mouth or whatever you want to say, supposedly depicts a soldier, sailor who came home from a war. I think it was World War II. Found his nurse and laid one on her. It is packed. It's a great photo spot, obviously used by tourists and locals alike. Um, it is right there by the USS Midway, so the traffic is congested, and there was road construction the time we were there. The USS Midway offers a lot too. We didn't go there this trip, but we will go back. There's a lot of rebuilt and restored aircraft on there, a museum, tons of flight simulators and things. But it was like there were people pouring out of it while we were there. So we didn't jump off into that because we wanted to go see the sea lions, the La Jolla sea lions. You can drive by on the road and hear the sea lions. Now, it is a protected area. You can't pet them, but you can stand there and watch them, and you can see how they frolic and sunbathe on the rocks. It is really a pleasure. Then we went to the La Jolla Tide Pools, which, oh my God, is one of my favorites. It's all located right there on the coast. The flowers along the beach were just gorgeous. At first, the pink that grows so close to the rock, I thought it was trash, but it's not. It's these beautiful little pink flowers that grow right up against the rock, and they grow so densely you can barely see the leaves. They're just beautiful. We made our way down to the tide pools, and here there's steps that go down at several places along the tide pools. I would recommend that you be real careful if you're not steady on your feet, but there were couples there with walkers and canes. They were just being real careful. So I'm sure people fall there all the time. It is well worth the effort if you can get down there. There are crabs and fish and all kinds of marine life that get embedded in those um, pools as the tide comes in and out. Now, the next part of the video is just a little bit of the waves and the ocean, just so you can kind of hear and feel as you're standing on these rocks with all this life around you. So if you look up the coast, you can just see how it just goes and goes and goes. The water is so pretty. The colors are so vibrant. Our next stop up the coast was Torrey Pines Glider Port. Now, we don't hand out the First Trip Favorite Award very often, but this one takes it hands down. Never would I have thought such a peaceful place existed in the city. Just wouldn't have thought it. This glider port is one of my all-time favorites. Just above Black's Beach, the glider port is between Black's Beach and the Torrey Pines Golf Course, which is famous if you play golf. We parked just north of the glider port and took the redneck way, and we just sat in the back of the truck and watched, and it was so entertaining. I am going to do that before long. I know there are people who will freak out about that, but it's going to happen. So once we finished at the glider port, we decided to go further up the coast, beach hunting still, and we found Carlsbad, California. Now, Carlsbad is a smaller town than San Diego. but the beach is beautiful. There's a lot more beach, not as much rock, but it's a neat mix of public access beaches, townhouses, and some complexes. But the sand is soft and just beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. And there were no homeless there. We stayed at the Carlsbad Beach Resort. It was a nice mix of the hotel in the front and then townhouses in the back, but they all framed this beautiful lawn in the back. Had a pool and a hot tub with it too, but they also had these lawn chairs that faced the ocean where you could watch the sunset, and that was so neat. So that really wraps up most of our trip to San Diego. It was just a long weekend, but we will go back. I fell in love with the city, and there are lots of other things to see, like SeaWorld and the rest of Balboa Garden that we didn't get to see. So we are looking very forward to going back. And you can find us at mymysticmoments.com. Reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. And we'll see you next time.